A few years ago, when clients asked me, have I got enough? They were primarily talking about money. Now, the conversations seem to be a lot broader. Have I got enough time? Have I got enough energy? Have I got enough purpose and clarity to make the next chapter of my life as meaningful as possible? Now, AI, artificial intelligence, might not be the first place you turn for an answer. It's easy to think of AI as something cold and mechanical. I was brought up with the Terminator movies and war games and elements where the AI simply thought logically. But something interesting is happening. Whilst having deep conversations with fellow humans is clearly better, AI might be a useful and readily accessible tool to help us see patterns in our lives and give us fresh insight into how we want to live in our 50s, 60s and beyond. So in this video, I'm going to talk about 7 ways AI can give us unique insights into planning for your own retirement or the next chapter of your life, whatever that brings. Welcome to What Happens Next. Now, as a chartered financial planner, I'm probably a bit biased, but I believe that financial planning done right is a deeply human endeavour. When I sit down with my clients, I want to have authentic human conversations about a life well lived and the part money plays in that. I'm lucky enough to have a bunch of conversations each and every week which affirm my belief that a great relationship with a good financial planner adds value to the life of you if you choose to work with one. If I didn't believe that's true, I'd probably pack my bags and try something else. However, what I've realised, and probably you have too, is that AI already forms an integral part of my working life, and along with my brilliant team at Savello, actually allows me to double down on what we can deliver as humans that actually matters. However, the fact that we're using AI in our workplace really got me thinking, could AI be a useful tool to think about the next chapter of our lives? And could we consider how to use AI to generate ideas that improve our well-being, particularly when we're going through a transition stage in our 50s and 60s towards the next chapter of our lives? And I reckon I've found 7 ideas, some starters for 7 or 10, to really use AI as a tool to think about and reframe the next chapter of our lives. Number 1 is using AI images to visualise your future self. I remember a few years ago, there was a UK-based financial planning firm called Postcard Planning. And what they used to do is send out a postcard with a photo of you now and a photo of you in 30 years' time, with a framing that you are doing your planning for that guy in 30 or girl in 30 years' time. We all have a tendency to prioritise short-term satisfaction over long-term well-being. In fact, behavioural scientists have a term for it. It's called temporal discounting, where the longer of something is, the less prominent it feels. So it's useful in all areas of our lives, including health and friendships and money, to remind ourselves that the actions we take now are helping plan and prepare for us in the future. And AI can visualise this process and make it a little bit easier. Today, tools exist that can generate fairly realistic digital visual projections of your future self. How you might look, move and think in 20, 30, 40 years. Now there's a number of firms in my world, in the financial planning world, who do this already. And there's been evidence to show that the results of understanding what you might look like in 20, 30, 40 years are significant. Because seeing an interpretation of yourself in the future allows you to think differently and plan better for the longer term. So try one of the AI tools available. Simply type in, what would I look like in 30 years? And then ask the question of yourself, what would the guy in 10, 20 and 30 years thank you for doing today? The second way you might want to use AI is to reveal hidden patterns in how you spend. Money can be logical, it can be practical, and it can be tactical and strategic, all things that we can make important decisions about. But the one we don't talk about enough is money being emotional. And that actually drives a lot of the decisions we make about money. Most of us underestimate how emotional our financial decisions are. We buy time, comfort, status, relief, not just products and services. Now, there's a bunch of AI-powered financial wellness apps that can categorise your spending, not by type, but by motive. They can detect patterns that reveal your underlying values and help you gain an insight into how you spend so you can make some informed choices. Now what you're able to do is think about your decisions and align spending your money with what truly matters. Now, we've had some amazing interviews on this podcast about the behaviour and the emotions surrounding money, and I'd suggest you definitely check out Catherine Morgan's podcast, which is one of my favourite podcasts I've ever done. I learned a lot out of that, and we'll put a link to that particular podcast too. Because when we talk about the stories we tell ourselves about money, they are as powerful as the strategic and tactical decisions we make. For me, using AI to act as a mirror in how we spend our money might be a practical way of understanding your own money behaviour in a period of life where there's a lot of change. And there's AI budgeting tools like Clio or Plum that you can use to do that. Alternatively, you can use ChatGPT and upload a copy of your bank statement to see what insights that could give you. Having a mirror to your spending allows you to ask one really important question. Does the way I spend money add to my well-being? And what other ways could I spend money that might more greatly add to my well-being? I've talked about AI being a mirror to your financial and spending habits, but also AI can be a mirror to your values. In What Happens Next, we talk about purpose and values as the backbone of a fulfilling life transition, and how a lot of people in their 50s, 60s, having worked for a few decades in their permanent professions or career, struggle with finding purpose in their next chapter, because actually, when you're at full-time work, purpose is baked in often into what you're doing. So finding and re-navigating that purpose is a bit more difficult in the next chapter. Now, what AI can do is, if you journal, if you post on social, if you write, if you've got anything that you can feed AI for it to understand what you actually value, and again, hold up a mirror to what's really important, that might help you work out what those underlying values are. It might be freedom, it might be security, it might be family, it might be community. But thinking about giving AI the information so that it can hold up that mirror to what might be important to you might be really useful. Now, clearly AI doesn't know you any better than you do, but what it can show you is the patterns you might miss and you repeat unconsciously. The words and emotions that subtly reveal what's actually important in your life. So you might want to ask ChatGPT to analyse your last few journal entries or blog posts for recurring themes and values, and then it might be worth reflecting whether these match the story you tell yourself about how you want to live in the next chapter of your life. AI, and this is my next tip, can also model different versions of enough. When often clients ask me, have I got enough? My question back is, enough for what? Now, the challenge we've got is, whilst you might have an idea on how you want to spend your time in retirement or the next chapter of your life, you might be struggling with working out how much it costs. The practical way of using AI with the right prompting is to ask it to model the life financially and cost it out. It'll even give you reflections on how much that life might look now and in the future. Now, if you're working with a financial planner, you can then work with them to build a nuanced, detailed financial plan, potentially using some of the assumptions that AI have taken to map out financially the life you want to live. I had a client call me the other day who was using AI to get a different mirror on the conversations we were having. And I loved it because actually I love well-informed, curious clients to come to me with a perspective. But what I realised that AI, in its keenness to give answers, had made a bunch of assumptions about this client that were incorrect. What you need is bucket loads of context, bucket loads of questions answered, not jump into an immediate answer. And it's not always the AI fault that it provides data and solutions without context and can be pretty inaccurate. Often it's the way you ask the question that's important. But I do think you've got to be careful, particularly taking really important financial decisions with the AI. Now, there's ways you can train your AI to be a lot better. However, if you've only just started to plan, don't take the AI's output as gospel. Sense check it, either by yourself or with a professional you trust. My next tip is using AI to coach you through change. I recently did a video on the change curve, and we all know that change is uncomfortable. Whether you're selling your business, ending a long career, or trying to re-identify what your purpose and values are, it's really easy to feel lost. That's where conversational AI, one you can train to be more thoughtful and ask you more questions, can help. AI can act as a journaling companion, ask thought-provoking questions based on psychology and coaching frameworks. Questions like, what makes you feel most energized this week? When did you feel most like yourself? And what might you be avoiding and why? And actually acting again as that mirror for you to genuinely think about the life you want to live and the actions you need to take. Used regularly, this kind of reflexive journaling and dialogue builds self-awareness, and it doesn't replace a human coach or therapist, but it can complement the work you might be doing because AI allows you to have micro conversations and keep you moving incrementally forward. The other way you can use AI is for AI to become your experimental partner. Now, on What Happens Next, we talk a lot about low cost incremental experiments that allows you to examine the art and science of taking small actions before you make big changes to see if it fits in your new life. Now, AI can be used as a tool to design and track those experiments, highlighting the ones that work so you can include doing more of that thing in your life and taking away the ones that don't. Imagine an AI assistant that helps you define what the right retirement flight path might be for you so you can make incremental change to the life you want to live. If you educated your AI on what the ideal way to spend your week was, if work didn't get in the way, money was no object, and you knew nobody would laugh, and compare it to the week you've got now, AI could build you a plan to say, here's how you're spending your time today, here's how you want to spend it, and here's a gradual incremental plan designed to get there. I'd also suggest that AI could be used to try new things based on your current habits. You might even want to track your health by uploading your data from your watch into AI and into your AI coach to help you make really good decisions. One thing I'd suggest here is it's worth learning about how AI agents work. So if you've got an AI that continues to learn what you like and what you don't, and learns with you and learns how you communicate and learns what you're looking to achieve, that's a better way of doing it. And I might be digging in the weeds there. That might be a bit too technical, but understanding that is a useful thing to do. You see, for me, AI is a potentially useful tool to empower us. Empower us to better plan, empower us to better experiment, and empower us to better source the information we need to live our lives in the next chapter in the best way possible. It can help you see your future more clearly through visualising you in 10, 20 or 30 years. It can help you plan more accurately. It can help you hold up a mirror to your values so you can work out more of what you want to do. And it can track your experiments, so it gives you future ideas about what might fit into a life well lived. So the question that I've got is, how are you going to use AI as a tool to live your life in the next chapter in the best way possible? But there's so much more to understand and learn if you're going through the next chapter of your life. In this video, and I've talked about it in this video today, but in this video, I dig a bit deeper into the concept of low-cost experimentation. And in this video, which is a bumper compendium edition, I share the concepts when it comes to financial well-being you might want to consider when you're thinking about what happens next. Hopefully that's useful. Have a lovely day, and we'll see you on the channel soon.